We've been like alluding to something's gonna happen. Everybody's been messaging me on Instagram. I have an announcement too, but it's gonna come later on because I'm not ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
This bitch has a fucking ring on her finger, so
She got lucky.
You're doing something right.
I'm engaged. I was like, if we're gonna go and like go to City Hall and like try to do marriage stuff, like this has to happen after Music Week.
Guess what, everyone?
Welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Girls Podcast. I'm Raquel
And I'm Natasha.
And
I'm back.
she's back. It's June. I can't believe that. It's wild. This is a wild time, everyone.
And by the way, last week was our 52nd episode, so that was like marking a year of episodes.
That's
that makes sense?
so insane. I can't believe it's been a year.
I'm so excited for
I
summer.
feel like on one hand, it's been like 1,000 years of doing this because
Yeah.
of all the stress. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I feel like it was like the first episode was last week. But you guys know that this episode is sponsored by our amazing sponsor, Deswa Superfruit Water, gluten-free vodka. I have the coconut one in front of me. I think you do as well. But
we both have
it has
coconut.
coconut water, acai berry, Himalayan sea salt, and carbonation. You guys know no hangover.
Yeah, it's
just it.
And of course, it's like the healthy alternative to drinks. So if you want to get your drink on, you want to get like a little buzz going, this is the perfect one to do
definitely
it.
gets
Especially
the
in
job done.
especially in the summer because it's like refreshing and it has all natural ingredients, and that's why we love it. And we're super happy to be we're super happy to be partnered with them because we believe in all that, like anything, healthy, holistic.
I don't know if it's holistic, but it's definitely healthy.
But yes.
It helps your insides, I guess.
Yes, and it's only 120 calories, so if you're like trying to watch your figure,
Skinny summer,
you can still have this and like be hydrated and like retox situation.
Yeah. If you want to get some, head on over to our Instagram bio or even the link in this bio below, drinkdezo.com, and put in that the Millennial Girl sent you. This is a major episode. This is like one of the most important episodes.
Are we really going to go there?
I think we've ever had. The announcement Natasha teased like a month or two ago.
Yeah, I think it's been like a month, and we've been kind of like
alluding.
Yeah, we've been like alluding to something's gonna happen. Everybody's been messaging me on Instagram, like, where are you? You haven't been posting. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? And first of all, I love when people like think that you died when you don't post on social media. Like, isn't it so bad that we've turned into
but that's beside the
this
point.
kind of society? But anyways, yeah, if you notice a change if you're watching YouTube clips or social media, we are in a different home at the moment.
You moved.
I moved.
Yeah.
I have moved closer to my job, and I'm sure you guys can guess why I moved.
Why'd you move, Natasha?
Guess what, everyone? I'm single again! Surprise!
Welcome to the club, sis. Welcome back.
There's two of us now. We're both on the market. Hello.
Hey, we got a blonde. I'm actually very excited because blonde brunette.
Oh my god.
What better deal?
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. So and it's so wild because even right now, like, we just got shared. We were guests on a podcast like a few weeks ago or something like that. They just put an episode out.
A few months ago now, yeah.
Or months. They just put an episode out, and like when I reread like our beginner like podcast description, the story that was like
always
really attractive to everybody was the fact that I had to like quote unquote cancel my wedding because I needed to make it to Ultra. So it's just so crazy to like read that description, and I'm like, yeah, we're far from that now.
Yeah. So I think also something to be told is like, just because we were still posting and everything for Millennial Girls, like, we were making stuff happen for you guys.
Yeah.
As this was all going on, obviously it was a huge transitional period in her life, and like, I was going over and like trying to, like, we were just still trying to manage, and we got stuff out, but we put a lot of stuff on hold because you do what you do for you, and at the end of the day, we're still two people, and we had to do what was right for you.
And to also like kind of piggyback off that, I think too, it's like, the perception always on social media is that you're like happy-go-lucky, positive, whatever, right? Like, you only want to put the good stuff out there. And we've talked about this so much about like being more transparent on social and everything. And it's not that I wasn't being transparent. It was just, it's been like a period of like 3 to 4 months now of transition. So like, if you guys had, like, no clue, I'm sure people, I feel like, probably got an idea after a certain point, but, like, if you didn't have any clue, like, that was kind of what was happening, like, that's how we show face to what we do, right? Like,
which
just
is
like
insane.
You do your job. Like, if you go back 3 months worth of episodes, I was already dealing with all this transition, but of course, like, I'm not going to come on the podcast and be, like, all mopey and, like, just like you would go to work, like, you're not going to take, like, your personal stuff to work. So we, you know, we kind of, like, went through it. We did the best that we could. And I mean, here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Hey.
And you're on the other side of it now. So how are you? Because we've had the conversation. I'm always like, are you okay? What's going on?
Yeah.
Are you fine? But how are you actually feeling?
I mean, right now, I feel great because, again, it's been months of kind of this transition. But yeah, no, I mean, the steps to get to this point, I mean, I literally cried like 2 nights ago again, you know, like there's been so many things that like I've just literally feel like a psychopath of like my emotions like,
are like this.
Up and down, up and down. It's like one day I feel like super great, super amazing, like happy about something, and then like something would trigger and like stress me out about like me having to move and, you know, just the whole situation, and like then I would get upset again, and then it would ruin my day, or like little things would ruin my day, or I would cry about something, or I would remember something, and it would just put me down, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I definitely feel like I've taken some steps. Again, it's been months now, but like I've taken steps to get to this point, and I still like, of course, there are still moments that like you remember something or you think about something that like makes you upset or whatever, but I definitely feel better now.
I think
in my own place.
Yeah, and I honestly, just for me, I feel like I was going through it with you too, because it's like obviously we are talking 24/7 and doing everything like together basically. I just want to say how proud I am of you, because not only did you get your full-time job, and that kind of wasn't even because of the situation, but you were like, I'm moving out, I need to get a job, like I need to get my life together, you don't have family here. So, I mean, you kind of took them every single low blow that happened, and you were just like, well, we have to figure it out. And I feel like it was a fight or flight situation, and you have to take a step back and be like, what am I going to do? Be mopey and horrible? And I have to get my life together. Like, I have to move out of this place. I have to do this. I have to get my own personal path going. Yeah, no, of course. It definitely, look, like, just to give, like, a little bit of background. So before I got into this last relationship, super serious relationship, obviously, like, before going into it, I had just, for a year, had been living with one of my really good friends at the time, and we both lived together in Brickell. We had just moved into this brand new building. It was super nice, super modern, like, 2-bedroom, like, we had our own bathrooms, like, it was so nice, and, like, I did that for myself, you know, and that was, you know, almost 4 years ago now. And so then when I got into this relationship, like, there were just certain things that came with it, right? Like, okay, like, we decided to move in together and et cetera, et cetera. So, like, there were a lot of things that, like, I either, like, let go of or if you want to say sacrificed, or I kind of gave up to put my life together with another person. Seriously, right? But I will say that I think I gave up too much of my independence. And so that's, like, a huge, not only lesson, but, like, it's a blow and a lesson at the same time, because it made me really handicapped going into the situation of me having to, you know, of us splitting. So that's something that I kind of want to put out there too, is like, I think it's common sense for everybody, especially in today's world, like where we're, you know, modern women and everybody independent women. I want to do things myself, blah, blah, blah. Which you do, but sometimes, yeah, of course, like when you're with a man, like, or at least in my case, right? It's like, yeah, you do like the idea of, like, being supported by someone else or doing whatever. It doesn't mean that you're, like, not still wanting to be independent, but, like, you're okay with, like, letting someone take care of you, too. Like, that's fine. But, unfortunately, I think I gave too much up. So, at that point, you know, I really had nothing. I was literally starting from zero to get to where I am now. Like, I wasn't working anymore after COVID, all that stuff. Like, yes, like, we have the sponsorships and stuff, but, like, it's not enough for me to, like, move out and pay bills and stuff right now. And so, like, coming into this, it's, like, getting a place, getting the full-time job, having to figure out how much money it was actually going to make at this job, because bartending, you're not on salary. You're making tips. So I had to, like, wait a couple weeks to figure out, okay, this is about
roughly
average,
about how much I'm gonna be making in a month, and doing all those numbers. So yeah, it was a lot, guys. It was a lot, and even to move right now, the market in Miami is so nuts. Like, if any of you don't live in Miami, everyone's moving here. It's a pain in the rear to get a place. Like, everybody's everybody's overpaying for what it is to like get into it. It's so just gross. Nuts. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough to get to this point.
What was like one thing that kept you motivated when you were at your lowest point? Because was it just like, I have to get out of here, there's no option?
It's a mix. I don't want to get into too many details, but it was also like,
right.
I was pressured a little bit. But aside from that, I mean, yeah, I think once I started working full time, I mean, of course, like, my end goal was like, how am I going to get what I had for myself before this time? Right. Which was having my own apartment, which I had before, having my car and, the whole situation, being able to pay all my bills and, do whatever it is that I need to do. And on top of that, like, I had written out a list. So I was like, I need to make minimum this much a month. How am I going to make that happen? And I am. So at least, like, I did find the right job to make that a month. And also, like, just certain things. Like, I'm like, I want to be able to get myself, like, a massage every month, or, like,
get your nails done.
I mean, nails is, and if I'm broke, I still do my nails. Like, that's nails.
I find the money.
Yeah, no, nails is my, like, I have to, but, like, yeah, like, extra things like that, where it's like, oh, massage, or, like, a facial, or, like, my therapy, like, stuff like that, where it's like, it adds up. It's 100 something here, it's 200 something there, and it's a lot of money. So, yeah.
I mean, it was so crazy seeing it from my outside too, because you've had friends who have gone through it as well. I have. And I haven't really. Mm-hmm. Like, you were the first one. Yeah. For me a close friend, because people have that I know, but I wasn't like on the inside basically. And yeah, I just, every single day, like, truly, I was like, oh my God, is Natasha gonna be okay? Like, literally, I was like, is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna be okay? And she is okay. She's fine. She's chilling.
That's the thing. Like, a lot of people, I think, the first is, because again, like, being proposed to, and, like, the whole fiance thing, and, like, everybody asking, like, when's the wedding? When is it? Whatever, right? Which, it, like, weirds me out saying that out loud. But at least, like, I have a couple of friends, like, they went, like, through, like, full-on divorce, and, they were with the person for years and stuff like that. And, yeah, in a way, it was nice to be able to kind of reach out to those people that had, like, kind of already gone through, and, getting their advice and stuff. And I mean, I had it firsthand growing up, like, with my parents and stuff too, but sometimes you don't want to ask your parents for that kind of advice in the moment, but I mean, I definitely had, like, my fair share of people to reach out to, and that's one thing too that I want to say, that I'm, like, super thankful for, like, the like, kind of the circle that I have around me right now, because this is the time that I, like, needed everyone the most, and everybody's been there for me. Like, it's been, I mean, almost everybody. Right. But, like, yeah, like, certain people were, like, really there, like, extra there, and it doesn't go unseen. Like, I'm super appreciative, super grateful. Like, my friend let me borrow her car to, like, stuff all my stuff in there and, like, bring it over, and, she let me borrow it for an extra day than expected, and just stuff like that, where it was, like, even in the stresses of it all, I still, like, I'm super grateful. The fact that, like, I still had, like, all these people to kind of lean on, where I think growing up, it was a lot harder for me to ask for help all the time. And I really did this time. Yeah. Like, I really, really leaned on my people, and it was really helpful. And sometimes I was like, damn, I'm probably, like, talking their ear off, and, like, it's just too much, but it helped me cope. It really did.
I'm, like, texting in all caps back, like, this is so, like, I was.
Yeah, no, yeah. You're my, like, well, I don't know, not coach, like, what is, like, my bodyguard or something. I don't know, Raquel. She's, like.
The feisty one with the big hair is the bodyguard. Yeah. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. With heels on one day again.
Right. But, with, like, my heel, like ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, are there, like, questions that you have that I guess, like, as a person that hasn't gone through, like, that you'd want to know or something?
Well, I mean, what did your therapist say? Because I would be very interested to know if she gave any really important tips that you were like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is it. Or.
So she was very, like, on my side, of course, which, like, most of the time you don't want to be biased, right? Like, you want, but just based on the circumstances, she was very, like, you know, kind of like you, like, defensive of me and stuff. However, her and a couple other, like, spiritual people I spoke to and stuff, they all, I think, even my friend, she has a podcast, too, and she actually talks all about, like, the actual divorce that she went through, and not what happened in the divorce, but more so what she learned coming out of it. Okay. So it's, like, pretty therapeutic. It's called The Thirsty, actually. So I'm just going to shout her out. It's with two eyes. Yeah. Her last episode from the last season that she did, she spoke about it. But anyways, she did help me through, and my therapist and everything, they all kind of, in a consensus, I kept getting this message from people saying, you need to focus on yourself. Like, you need to... Yes. Like, literally, like, focus on yourself. Like, not looking at outside things, not going back to the past, not going back to, not even, like, so much of, like, focusing on your future or, like, even again, like, of course, it's always going to cross your mind of, like, dating again or doing, you know, whatever it is.
I was like, sis, no, you need to focus on yourself.
No, and that's the thing. Like, it's a mix. I get a mixed reaction from that. Some people will be like, focusing on yourself means being by yourself, but other people say focus on yourself, but it doesn't necessarily mean be by yourself. I literally right now have the chance to live my life the way that I want to live it. And I know it sounds weird because you're thinking like, oh, well, when you're in a relationship, like, why couldn't you live the life you want to live? It's not that I couldn't. I just wanted to do it in a partnership, and we were not aligned in that way. Right. And so now that I'm solo, not to say that I need to do it solo forever, but it's like I literally I'm starting from zero again. Yeah. It's a complete clean slate. So, like, this is the time to, like, be like, okay, if I wanted to, I don't know, get my master's in New York, like, take a U-Haul and drive to New York, like, this is your chance now, you know? So it's like, that's what I mean when people have kind of suggested me, and same with my therapist and everything, of, like, really kind of looking inward and figuring out. And I think, too, it's, like, going through this whole process, and again, fiance or not, any kind of breakup, I mean, it's really, like, asking yourself how you're going to improve your life. Mm-hmm. How are you going to be a better version of you? Again, I feel like so corny saying that, but
no, but it's so true, because it's like you were doing something with someone, and we're not saying, you know, when you get married or if you're engaged or anything, you move in or you get into a relationship with whoever, your significant other, you throw a part of you away. But obviously there is a huge compromise that comes about. Yeah. And I feel like someone always compromises more than the other. That's just how it is. Like, someone has to make someone else happy. But then there comes a point where you're like, and now you're seeing it from the other side. So did you ever, I don't know, now you're like, oh, I never want to do that again. Like, this kind of compromise, or this is what I don't want.
I will say this. The one thing that I learned very early, in the early stages of this whole process, was I had a lot more compassion for my mom. And I even told her, I was like, now I understand you more going through this. However, I mean, again, lots of other thoughts and feelings too, but that was definitely something where I was like, okay, like, I get certain things now. It's kind of like one of those things where, like, you get frustrated with your parents, and then you have kids, and then not that I know this, but from what I've heard, it's like, oh, then you have kids, and then you're like, I get it now, you know? Coming out of a relationship, it's easy, I think, to blame others for all the wrongs and all the problems, and trust me, like, I did, and I have, and all my friends have, but I'm such an introspective person, and I refuse to only blame others. Like, I can, and I do, but I still am like, what did I do wrong? How could I be better? What are some of the flaws maybe that I had that, and I'm not saying that's the reason why it ended, but still, I'm like, okay, these were certain things that maybe didn't work, or, like, you know, going into the future and maybe down the line that I meet someone or whatever, like, I don't want to bring those kind of problems into another, you know, relationship. So, yeah, so those are the things where it's, like, really kind of, like, focusing on yourself and, like, you know, bettering yourself.
If there's anything you have to say to, like, someone going through it right now who feels like it's just the worst thing that could ever happen to them, and they will never move on, and life is just going to be horrible. Like, advice, something, or at least one piece of advice that to help them. Obviously, it's different on every situation.
Yeah,
too.
it's different because in my case, there were certain things that happened that I guess in certain ways that I personally felt treated made it easier for me to get over. But even in those low moments, I mean, all I did was like lean on my people. Like instead of me just totally being in solitude or like get into like some depression, I was like texting my friends all the time, like annoyingly, like this is happening, that happened, this has happened, oh my god, blah blah blah, and like just kind of. In a way, I did get caught up in the drama of it sometimes, like, with my friends and everything, but it was a way for me to release what went wrong and, like, kind of processing it. Like, writing it out helped me process certain things. But
honestly, from outside looking in and seeing what happened, I would say, like, get out when, like, as you can. Don't keep being in that situation and, like, getting wrapped up in the toxicity.
Right.
Because eventually you're going to resent that person, and then by that time it's just not a good living situation.
And that's the thing, at least in like of course in the beginning stages, you're asking yourself like, did I do enough? Was I good enough? Was it this? Was it that? Like I kept looking at myself first.
And I was like, yeah.
But then it's like the list keeps growing of like looking on the other side. Right. So it's just, and then at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is basically, I had a couple weeks right at the beginning where I had time to look within, and when I did, it was a mutual decision at the end of the day. Like, I knew that he was kind of done, and then when I was getting to when I had that moment to think, I asked myself, well, am I going to want this to continue on? Because it's not going to change, and I'm not here to change anybody, and that was never the intention, and vice versa, I'm sure. So at that point, it was like, I'm not letting the other person decide what's happening. Like, I'm making this choice too. And when we came together, I also agreed. I mean, in that moment, So that's the thing. It's like, don't look for somebody else don't look outside for that validation. Like, that's like the lesson that I'm having to like really like kind of sink in right now of like, not looking outside of myself. Like, it's so easy to, like, let yourself be chosen. And, like, that's what I loved about it at the beginning. It was, like, he chose me, and I was, like, I just wanted someone to choose me, And, like, now I'm, like, well, it's got to be both ways. Like, that might come off wrong. It's not that I didn't choose back. Like, I wanted it because he chose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It is mutual, but, like, not in the right way.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
So that's where I think for anybody that's, like, going through it and wants to, like, kind of get, like, a pick-me-up, like, even another friend of mine, actually, somebody that we became friends, like, during COVID time and stuff, he went through a whole, like, nasty divorce and stuff and everything, and, like, he still will, like, bring stuff up now, and I'm like, you have to realize, like, I get it. Like, no one wants to be lonely. Like, we all, like, don't want to be alone. Like, I get that. But, like...
Chilling.
But, like, we have to do things for ourselves. So I was like, what were you doing before that you're not doing now? And it's like, oh, like, I had this hobby and that hobby, and I did this and that. It's like, you shouldn't stop those things. Like, just because you're in a relationship. Like, you need to still do the things that make you happy. And, like, I get it. Like, we want to do it together with the other person. But one thing that I've, like, read more and more is, like, you kind of sometimes want to have, like, different things from the person. Like, even if you don't have that thing in common, like, at least you have that for yourself, and, like, the other person has that for themselves, And I'm saying this coming from a place where it's hard for me to be that person. Like, I still will, like, do my dance and stuff, but then I'll, like, want them to come to dance with me, and I want to, do the things together. Sometimes you just gotta...
Sometimes you just gotta
do it.
Dance by yourself.
You gotta go right on solo.
Yeah.
But, you do. You kind of have to put on face. Like, I was going to work, and I was in a mood, and I can't, like, go to, the bar and talk to my customers being like, I'm in the middle of a breakup. Like, you just, you don't do that. Like, it's not professional. Like, yeah, maybe amongst your coworkers or something, but, like, there was a certain point where, like, everybody knew that I was trying to move, and, like, the stress, and it was, like, a week, 2 weeks, and there was an issue and something, and like, every single thing, you guys, was literally not going in my favor.
Yeah.
I was literally to the point where I was like, this is not meant to be. Like, am I supposed to even be in Miami anymore? Like, I'm so confused because it was like, I would get approved to an apartment, and then they were like, oh, now we have to do an interview with you. Then they wouldn't schedule the interview. Then it was like, I signed a lease, but then they couldn't accept something, and I put a deposit.
Me, and I was like, take her.
They don't want to return my deposit. And then I messaged like 34 people on Roomster.com, and every single one, either one was like, I moved out of the country, haha, and I was like, I don't know, but you seem like a cool person, like,
so come to visit.
And then it was like somebody else was like, oh, I've had better credit scores than you, and I'm like, don't even get me talking about the credit situation because that's a whole other ordeal. And then it's like, yeah, like people, oh, her face, and I was like. Yeah.
Who is it?
No, like people were being like, it was literally like, I had a backup plan too of like, maybe if something doesn't work out, like I might move in a room in this one woman's house, literally message her out of desperation, like, hey, whatever. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. My daughter doesn't want anyone to touch anything in their room right now, so I can't have, and I was literally like, I'm going to be homeless. I was like, I am going to be homeless. Like, I don't know where to go anymore. I don't know what to do. Like, that is how stressed I was, people, like, to that point, and that's why, like, the last time that we recorded together was probably, like, a month ago, but, like, on your side, you don't know, like, we're just pumping and scheduling stuff out, so, like, this whole past month has been that stressful for me, and, like, luckily, thank God, like, finally I got in here, and, like, we're good, and we're fine, and...
But, like, you just got in, like, 2 days ago.
Yeah, like 2 days ago.
Like, literally, we're filming this, so the last episode I did with Alex, and then before that, we just scheduled a bunch, we filmed a bunch on one day, so, like, I haven't seen her in a month.
Yeah, it's
like,
been, like,
literally,
a month.
Well, physically,
Yeah, so... It's just been this roller coaster of a ride, and all those moments you could totally give up, and you could what am I going to do? Am I going to be homeless, or am I going to give up? Like,
right.
But, like, those are my options, so I don't know. I'm resilient. I'm not going to quit in that moment. Like, so I just kept going on, and, like, at least, like, I'm so happy that I had, like, full-time work, and even last week, like, I worked an extra day and stuff, because it's, like, it keeps you busy and it keeps you preoccupied. But, like, even when I was going to work, and, like, certain people, since I'm, like, getting closer to my coworkers, like, they kind of had an idea of, like, at least the moving situation. Every day they'd be like, so did you move? Did you find a place?
Like, no!
There was a certain point where I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm thankful. Like, I was like, I appreciate that you're asking, but I honestly don't want to talk about it because it's just going to make me mad.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't want to, I was like, I don't want that mood to stay within my night. Like, I don't want that to ruin my shift. I don't want to be, like, bitchy to the customers, so it's not their fault. So, like, all that is, like, what's happening, you know?
So
it's
crazy. It's so crazy. But new chapter. It's happening. We're going to figure it out. We have some things coming, more things that, not like that, but, like, good things coming that, like, we have alluded to.
I just, like, part of me, though, like, I'm kind of excited for, like, Raquel and I to, like, do, like, dating stories in the future.
Oh,
like,
God.
that's just gonna, that's gonna be so much fun.
No, that's
though.
honestly the best, because now this girl who's been, like, every time we've had a matchmaker or dating person, I'm like, actually, wait a minute.
Stop. Now you're gonna call her back to come and, like, do it for me. Oh, God. Yeah, no, trust me. You asked this earlier, and to answer your question of, like, oh, would you do this again and stuff, like, I'm definitely, like, someone asked me the other day, like, oh, like, would you, like, want to be engaged or, like, try to get married again? And I was like, do not know right now. Like, that's how bad.
It is too early for that to be
and I know.
determined.
First of all, it's, like, way too early, but still, like, even that question, I was like, yeah, like, the idea, it's changed for me completely. It's changed. Sure. And I don't want to, like, I am not here to, like, put down the idea of it at all. No, I don't know, and maybe in the future I will feel in whatever. However, this is going to be really depressing, but my biggest dream in life, more than my career, more than whatever, was to find, like, the right partner to spend my life with, or whatever the word, I hate saying that, but, like, to be with, to do things with.
To life with.
And it didn't work out, and it's crazy because, like, let's say, like, that dream was crushed, so now I'm like, I don't even know if that's, like, a dream anymore. Like, I
just don't think it wasn't the right person, and it wasn't the right person, and at the end of the day, you guys were on, like, two different playing fields.
Yeah, at the
life,
end, yeah.
At the end, and I think that's what happened, and this was the universe being like, we've got some cool things happening for you. Things are gonna happen. You're
cool
gonna
things.
meet people. I meditated last night, guys. So like I'm on a different planet right now.
Okay, what do you see?
No, last night was intense. I cried during meditation. Anyway.
Yeah, I've been there. Trust me.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's
how I chose my job.
Really? Which one?
Where I work now.
Oh, the new one? Oh.
From meditating.
Really? Did you see it in your meditation?
So well, here we go.
I keep seeing,
we went on another plane.
Different episode.
We're on another planet. No, I literally did, just like you, I did a meditation. I was sitting on the balcony, like, facing the ocean, whatever, and I was, like, with my eyes closed, asking which road to take. And I was like, am I gonna, and then I had, like, 4 or 5 job offers at that point, and I was kind of hard between 2 of them, so I was like, am I going to go to this one, and I assigned it to the right, or the other one to the left, and, like, this vision that I got, because if I meditate hard, sorry, we're getting all into the juju stuff, but, like, I visualize a lot, with eyes closed, like, I see things, I see colors, and I see things, and I was, like, pointed left direction, which was right in the direction of where my job is now, so I was like, that's it, like, that's how I chose, that's literally how I chose.
Oh, wow.
I trusted. But that's the thing. Just to add to it, this decision of this move, I was so high stress that it was hard for me to even connect that way because I was, like, literally survival mode, like...
Fight or flight. You were truly fight or flight mode.
And I feel terrible admitting this, but it's the truth. There were moments where I was, like, texting my friends, like, does God want me to be homeless? Like... Literally, I was like, do you want me to be homeless? Because nothing is working out. Like, literally.
I have had a lot of those moments the past year. Like, why do you want me to be jobless? Why do you want me to be...
But even in those moments, do you gather a lot? I know what the lessons are. Very, very hard.
Oh, harsh. Not in that moment. I don't get that lesson.
No. I've gotten the lesson, like, harshly ingrained. But it's like, I feel like I kept getting jabbed more to be like, do you really understand you need to change? Like, this is a lesson. Are you going to repeat the same mistake?
Oh, wow.
That's how I feel.
Okay.
And I'm like, I hope I don't.
At this point, you're like, I'm not because I don't want to be homeless.
I'm not, but, like, it's hard because then when you have... Just life happens, and sometimes it's hard to not repeat it. But, like, damn, if you do, you're just an idiot. So, like, to myself.
Me to myself, if you do, you're just an idiot.
It's true.
It is. I mean, it is true. It's like the patterns. The whole meditation yesterday, because it's a full moon currently today, the day we're recording, or was last night, and then in 3 days, Mercury's going to be in Gatorade, so buckle up, everyone.
Buckle up.
And then it's like a new moon in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So last night's meditation was all about, like...
I love your nails.
Thanks, look.
Yeah, you just live on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm a human Kool-Aid. Popsicle.
I'm a human Kool-Aid.
Popsicle.
Sorry, okay,
server.
so you were saying the moon?
Last night's meditation was not, like, happy. It was about seeing all the bad things that have, like, knocked you down in the past. And he was like, you're in this room and you turn on your TV and you see yourself in the lowest point. And I was like, whoa. And you know when that was for me. Not at Revolution, but you know when that was. And I was like, started crying in my meditation. He was like, turn it off and take your golden bat and, like, beat up the TV. And that's when I had texted you and I was like, oh, my, we had just talked about, like, doing that basically. And I literally got out of this meditation. I was like, what? I was, like, exhausted.
But it is exhausting. Did you feel better, though?
I felt so much better, but I had never done a meditation. I just started meditating, like, a couple months ago.
I'm proud.
So, yeah, between her and Alex, they're like, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
I've cried, like, twice and 2 times I meditated, yeah.
And I had makeup on, so I went into my sister's room after, and my mascara was, like, down to here. She's like,
aww.
You good, bro? And I was like, no. Anyway.
You're like, healing.
I'm like, it's fine. And she's like, you're weird. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it is that whole, I mean, whether you're into it or not, I mean, if you get, like, very in the zone in a meditation, like, it can be that transformative. It's pretty intense. And I cried too when I had the job decision, or I did a meditation on the whole, like, living thing, which, like, funny enough, the way I was guided didn't end up being what I ended up doing. So I'm a little bit confused by that. But that's another thing too, is, like, aside from, like, you being introspective and, like, really focusing on yourself, it's, like, trusting yourself, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, going back to the episode, like, trust your gut and all this stuff, it's just when you're in such high stress like I was, there's no connection to gut anymore.
There's no connection to anything.
Because you're in survival mode. So you're, like, you literally, there is no right or wrong. You're just, like, I need to do something. Yeah. You're desperation. And, like, oh my God, another thing, when I was meeting with the building manager here, she literally was like, don't be desperate. Like, don't be desperate. Everything's going to be okay. And I was like, I don't know if, like, God's talking through you or whatever, but, like,
you're like,
I'm desperate. Like, I literally, Jinx. It's like, yeah, because I'm like, that's easy for you to say, lady. You just delayed me another week. No, I'm like, you delayed me another week. And then she tells me again the day that I, like, finally got approved, like, to move and everything. She's like, don't be desperate. Like, everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, I know everything's going to be okay, but it's not going to be okay if you don't approve me to move.
Don't be desperate one more time and see what happens.
Like, I'm like, you be in my situation. You'll see you're desperate lady. Like, sorry, I'm just.
No.
But, like.
Is this the lady I talked to?
No, that was the HOA. But you're like, yeah, like it was just a lot. And everybody's been like, everything's gonna be okay, everything. And I'm like, I get it, and I know, like, maybe I'm not being positive enough, but I was so desperate, like, that you can't anymore. Like, you get to this place.
It's crazy, too, because I feel like we talked about being desperate with jobs and everything the whole past year. Mm-hmm. And I was always like, I don't want to be desperate. Like, that's my biggest thing is I don't want to get to the point where I'm desperate. I have to pick another job where I hate it. I don't want to do it, da-da-da. And, like, then you get in the desperate place and you're like, oh, I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, like, if I'm being completely honest, like, the places that I've looked at, and even here, like, this place is great. It's super cute, whatever. I have a room. But it's, like, not my ideal situation. It's me being desperate that I needed to find what I need, and I had certain requirements that luckily were met, like being close to my job and everything like that, which is, like, it's great. It's a blessing. I'm super grateful. Thank the Lord, whatever that.
Moses, Jesus.
Yeah, that, like,
unicorn God.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. But, yeah, no, of course, like, if I had the liberty to do and to choose and whatever, like, I probably would have done a little bit different. Yeah, for sure. Because like I said before, like, I had certain things that I don't anymore, so. But, yeah, once you get out of the desperation mode.
Once you start living your life.
Then you can, like, like, I literally I've been so exhausted. Like, this whole thing is exhausting. She was literally on FaceTime
with me yesterday. I was like, you need to go to bed. What are you doing? You have one eye open. I was like, I'm going to go meditate and do this full moon thing, and you're going to bed. Goodbye.
And the thing is, too, like, to be honest, I mean, I'm sure for everyone, it's like, you get insomnia. Like, there were so many nights where, like, I can't sleep till 3, 4 a.m. from the anxiety of, like, having to transition, and am I going to find a place? Like, what's going to happen tomorrow? Like, you know, all these things, and from moving and everything, and, like, it's just so much. And then the emotions that are involved, the anxiety involved. There was a moment where I was at work that, like, I didn't have any specific thought in my head, but, like, just certain energy that, like, had come on to me that, like, got me in a mode where I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have a panic attack right now at work, and, like, I needed to go, like, sit in the stairwell and, like, breathe for a minute, and, like, luckily, like, I breathed out of it and I was fine.
That's good.
But, like, because I don't know, I guess I will tell you, this period has shown me the strength that I have. That's a big one. Like, I did not fall to pieces, you know, but it was tough. I had all those moments throughout, and the anxiety thing made me basically starve for weeks too. Like, I lost weight, guys. Hey, you know, that's one thing that's good about breakups is that you get, well, depending on who, but, like, I get skinnier when I break up.
I literally was like, you're so skinny when I walked in today.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, this is how I always used to be. I started gaining weight, like, during COVID and stuff, and whatever, but.
Like everyone else.
I've always been this way, but there were certain episodes where I was like, dang, like, Natasha's getting a little hefty in the face, but, like, whatever. We're just gonna get through it.
We're in a global pandemic.
I was like, at one point, we'll get skinnier, I swear.
Here we are!
But, yeah, no, like, I lost my appetite. Like, I didn't want to eat, or if I did eat a little bit, like, my stomach would hurt because it's, like, the anxiety is, like, all in the gut and stuff, so.
You need to do a sound healing because that, like, the gut one, that's what you need to do.
Who do I go to see for that?
My girl!
I'm like, we need, just any holistic people want to sponsor?
Sound healing and acupuncture. I'm going to get it done before I go to LA.
I did do acupuncture, like,
you did it,
ago. Yeah. And it was funny, too, because when I walked in, she was like, oh, what are you coming for? Like, what's hurting? Like, what's going on?
My
What's
whole
wrong?
being.
No, and I literally was like, nothing. I, like, literally just want to be balanced in, like, a tune-up. She was like, wow, like, everyone should do that. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
I was like, nothing is hurting. I just came because I feel like I need to
like,
be, like,
everything
aligned,
hurts.
you know, inside. So, yeah. Cheers to new chapters.
Cheers.
And
Dezo cheers.
I know.
Woo!
Dezo cheers. I'm like, it's too early to drink right now, but we love you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That is the big announcement.
Yeah.
In my personal life. And if anybody has any questions or if anyone ever goes through some sort of breakup or any relationship problems, whatever it is, feel free to DM us because we will give you all the advice. She will empower you because she's like girl power solo writer. I'm not so much that way. I'm more of I like being with people. But yeah, I went through it. So if you're going through it or if you will go through it or whatever,
again, biggest hype man over here.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's it. We got this.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. You got the tea.
Yeah,
You got the tea. It's out. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a 5-star review. Check out Dezo. Follow us on social media. I'm at Raquel Goldie.
At Natasha Salahi.
And as we say here, peace, love, and unicorns.